Welcome back to Sub2 Investor. My name is Hans, and in this episode, I'll be showing you my 8th Subject-to deal I ever closed. This is an actual Subject-to transaction, which we purchased and then we turned around and sold it on seller financing. We hold the deal to this day. I'm going to show you the HUD statement, a video of the property, and a couple other goodies that you're not going to want to miss out on. Stay tuned. Now, this is part of my Real Sub2 Deal Breakdown series, a video series in which I'm going through actual deals I've closed. These are creative finance deals which I closed and hold to this day, so that if you are getting into creative finance or are new to Subject-to investing, you'll find a tremendous amount of value in this video series. Even if you've done a couple Subject-to deals, there's probably something for you to learn on this channel. This deal we got from the pre-foreclosure list, a relevant list to this day. In fact, right now, one of my primary marketing strategies is targeting pre-foreclosures. The reason for this is that we are back to pre-COVID pre-foreclosure levels, at least in my local market. In fact, let me pull up a chart real quickly. I think you'll appreciate seeing this. Now, this is from another YouTube channel called Talk About Houses that I follow. These guys are great and very knowledgeable real estate agents in the Las Vegas market, but they give meta-analyses of what's happening in the real estate market. And so I present to you a chart from about a month ago, which they discussed on their YouTube channel. And this is US foreclosure statistics from Adam Data, a very reliable data provider. Now, we're certainly not seeing the uptick in foreclosures that we saw back during the 2008 crisis. Far from that. If you take a look right here at about the year 2020, this is when pre-foreclosures drastically dropped. Hardly any lenders were foreclosing on properties. Instead, they were doing loan modifications and things of that nature. But as you observe through 2021 and then in 2022, we're basically back to the pre-COVID level of pre-foreclosures, slightly below that. But all this is to say there are pre-foreclosures on the market which are making great candidates for creative finance and Subject-to deals, which is why I am targeting them right now. As I talked about on one of my previous videos, pre-foreclosures are very, very tedious sometimes to target and to market to because of the type of homeowner that you're dealing with. These are folks who've fallen behind on their mortgage payment. They are likely procrastinators, have avoidance issues, things of this nature. However, the payoff of doing a pre-foreclosure deal is usually equity. You're going to probably get some equity in these deals. You're also dealing with, more than likely, a motivated seller. So there are definite upshots to targeting pre-foreclosures. A great strategy is to simply go door knock pre-foreclosures and get these properties on a list and make it a circuit weekly to go door knock these individuals once you're within 30 to 60 days of the auction. If you don't want to do that, well, you can send mail or send text messages or cold call. All of that works. This particular deal we got from a cold text message campaign. The seller pretty much immediately responded, and I called her right away as soon as I got a response from my cold text message, which I sent to her. Had a brief conversation on the phone, essentially brought up Subject-to right away because I knew that this would buy us some time. If we could leave the loan in place, simply catch it up, then I didn't have to go borrow a ton of money. And well, the other thing is that her interest rate was 2.65. So phenomenal interest rate. This seller was really easy to work with, actually. She didn't really want much out of the property, which was fantastic. I think we gave her a total of $6,000 at closing. The house did have some equity. It was in a pretty good area. However, she had only owned it for a few years, so it hadn't appreciated like a ton. That being said, we did inherit some equity, which was nice. But again, what was nicer was that 2.65 interest rate, which we are benefiting from to this day. Now let me pull up the HUD statement so I can show you what it looked like when we actually closed on the deal. Actually, before I do that, I do want to mention a little bit about her situation. She had moved out of the property and was renting it to a significant other / his friends, and they were not making the payments, and so she got behind. She didn't want to deal with the situation. It was an emotionally involved kind of thing. She was an absentee owner, actually, and absentee owners are a great list to target for real estate deals in general. So this was not only pre-foreclosure, it was an absentee owner as well. So there was a stacked component to this deal. However, she was just motivated to part ways with the past, and so she was ready to sign over the deed to the house, receive a modest sum of cash, and move on. She was a little bit of a mess, kind of put together on the outside, but a little bit of a hot mess on the inside, I suppose. We offered to help her move her personal possessions from the property. We actually rented a U-Haul on the day of closing. We got together, we made it all happen. We moved everything from the U-Haul into a U-Haul storage unit, the things that she wanted to store until she found a new housing situation. This can be a good way to operate in the event that the seller wants to sell but doesn't have anywhere to move. Usually they can find some kind of temporary housing. It might be a friend's house, a family member's house, gosh, even a hotel if you needed to pay for a couple weeks of a hotel, and it works in terms of the numbers. You can rent a storage unit for relatively cheap and get the personal possessions moved into the storage unit. You'll be surprised at how often the personal possessions of a seller seem to be more important than the real estate itself, which is, far more valuable in the long run, but whatever. So we had good rapport, we had a good working relationship with the seller, and we made everything happen. We got the payout. Oh, and she was, I think, about $15,000 behind in arrears, so we had to catch that up as well. So I think total we were about $20,000 in this deal. Our plan was to turn around, sell it either on a lease and option or contract for deed, and get back at least around that $20,000 amount that we were going to shell out to put into the property. Here is a copy of the HUD settlement statement, or the ALTA as we do them here in my market. A couple things I want to point out. Number one is we close our subject to deals in revocable trusts. If this is not something you're in the practice of doing, well then I suggest you get educated on this topic so that you can know what you're missing out on. One of the key things on a subject to deal is properly structuring the insurance policy. And when you buy a new insurance policy, which you're going to do on a subject to deal, it's not going to suffice to just leave the seller's insurance policy in place. If you're taking title to the property, you need your own insurance policy. That policy will get sent to the lender, and if you have your LLC as the named insured on that policy, it could potentially raise a red flag. So we close our Sub2 deals in trusts. It's very simple to do once you understand how trusts work and operate, and you have a good template from which to create a trust for the property that you're closing on. And we do create individual trusts for every single property we close on. The trusts don't file their own tax return like an LLC does, so we don't have to pay for a trust tax return. It simply passes through to our LLC, which is the beneficiary in all of our trusts. So from a tax perspective, it doesn't complicate things at all. It gives us anonymity, it protects the seller, and helps maintain the integrity of the transaction. Furthermore, if we want to bring an equity partner into the deal, it becomes supremely easy by simply restructuring the beneficial interest in the trust, which is very easy to do. So now you're talking about extreme ease in structuring equity partnerships, JV partnerships, things of this nature. So we closed in the name of our trust on this deal. If you take a look down here, you'll see that the title company has a line item for the subject to loan that we left in place and are making payments on. They put it here, loan being taken over by seller. It's an interesting way to put it. Usually, I think the line item item reads, loan being taken subject to. However, this is the way they decided to word it. And so the seller left a loan in the amount of $144,312.17, all at a 2.65 interest rate. That's money that we got at 2.65. You can't find that anymore. It doesn't exist. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is that the final amount that the borrower, that is us, the buyer, had to bring to closing was this amount right here, the $21,504. Now this comprised the, I guess it was $15,000 in arrears and the $6,000 that we brought to the seller in cash at closing. Maybe it was $15,500 of arrears and then $6,000 of cash to the seller at close. Whatever. But that's how it was indicated on our settlement statement. And so our total purchase price on the Sub2 deal, all the cash we were bringing plus the loan we were leaving in place, ended up totaling $165,816. Pretty simple. Don't get confused when you're doing a subject to deal. As long as you understand it, everything should make sense. I'm going to go to my Instagram account to show you the outside of this property. Unfortunately, the video I took was a lot longer and it showed the inside of the property, but I guess that got deleted off Instagram, or it might have been user error. But here's the property. I'll show you the outside here real quick. Okay, here is a property that we just purchased down here in South County. 2-bedroom, 2-bath ranch with a finished basement, 1-car garage. Yes, that was a Bandit Signs on Wheels, aka my old car. If you happen to notice that in the end of the video, we have done deals off of Bandit Signs on Wheels, but that's a totally different topic. Anyway, the big picture of this deal was that we bought it subject to. The seller was so motivated, they just wanted to be detached from the situation. It didn't matter that we explained to them that we're going to be leaving the loan in your name. It's going to be staying on your credit. You still will be technically responsible for the loan. However, we will be making the payments. This is our commitment to you. Also, there's a chance of a due on sale, but it's not a high probability chance. We do have some recourse in the event that that were to happen. Seller is fully aware of all of the liability in the transaction, yet she was so motivated that she was okay with that. And in fact, when people are staring at a check for anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, that's often motivating enough for somebody to leave an amazing interest rate loan in place and just cut themselves loose from a bad situation. Now, I do have a regret in this deal. My regret is that when we sold it on seller financing, we only charged an interest rate in the upper 6%, which means we are making an interest rate arbitrage spread of something in the 2.65% to whatever it is, I think 6.8%. Pretty big arbitrage spread, over 4% spread right there. It cash flows, I believe, $425 a month. The buyer's been awesome, has never missed a payment. However, if I were to go back and do this again, I would certainly up that interest rate and try to get it as close to 10% as I possibly could. Even if this meant marketing the property for a longer period of time. Think about it. We offered an amazing house, an amazing opportunity, and the buyer can go refinance into a lower interest rate at any time. So now we're holding we'll call it a 6.8 note, but if I went to go sell this contract for deed, it would not be worth very much because the note buyer would only be getting a 6.8 return, which means we'd have to take a massive discount on the paper. It actually protects the seller more if we charge a higher interest rate so that in the event of a due on clause apocalypse, then we could go and sell our paper, our note or our contract for deed and get close, if not the total amount that we need to pay off that underlying debt. So that is one regret I have. However, I'm not going to complain about $425 a month of completely passive income, but you live, you learn, and we have tweaked our business model so that we don't repeat the same mistakes moving forward. So that's the value of this channel. You can see the way we've done things. You can learn from my successes and my mistakes and do better yourself on your deals. All right, that's it. If you like this video, if you found it valuable, please leave a comment below. like and subscribe. Also, huge announcement. I just finished the complete beginner's guide to creative real estate investing course. It's available on my website. I am super proud of this product. It's my entire business model in a box. It's a crash course in my business model from A to Z, spelling out in detail. You know how detailed I can get on this channel of the entire process of buying creatively and selling creatively, literally from beginning to end. It's an amazing course. I think the price is very reasonable. In fact, I think it's a fantastic deal. You can check out this course, Complete Beginner's Guide to Creative Real Estate Investing, at sub2investor.com. There's also more information about my mentorship program and my paperwork packages if that might interest you as well. Until next time, stay creative. Peace.